Hey, welcome back. I'm Jason, and today we're covering the installation of unicorn reins on Project Not So Lightweight. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so the obvious question, what in the world is a unicorn rein? Well, this is a complement of parts from Einhorn Industries, which has graciously kept building cool stuff for what has become an outdated platform. Don't get me wrong, amazing platform, but outdated. Not a lot of people are still making parts. Not even BMW is making parts for these. Most stuff is considered NLA, at least the fun stuff, or the stuff that we usually need. So a front sway bar on one of these has become very difficult to find, and they are quite difficult to install, amounting to 6 to 8 hours of install time, where this little guy is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 minutes to an hour. You know, it's going to depend on your skill, whether you have a lift, and if you know what you're doing. I'm going to guess. You can watch. It'll be fun. So back to Einhorn. I've got a couple other parts. I've got unicorn nuggets, which are my shift arm bushings, and a unicorn egg, which is my front aluminum diff mount. And they have really helped. My shifter feels great. I've got poly bushings and the aluminum bushing in my diff, and that baby is locked in there tight. So thanks again to Einhorn for making these parts. This is not a sponsored bit or anything like that. I'm just really glad there's somebody out there supporting our community with this car, because it is a well followed and loved car, and I'm trying to play with it and make it sway a little bit less, which is what we're going to cover here. So how is this supposed to help with sway control? Well, absent replacing the sway bar itself with something thicker, we need to apply more tension to the sway bar. Adding this bracket to the sway bar will give us 3 different positions, or 3 different options with these 2 positions together, and we'll apply more tension via our end link here to the bar based off where we attach it. So now we're going to need to get the wheels off, which I've already done. In your case, you don't need to if you're doing this in a driveway. You have all the access you need right here. To get the end links off, we're going to need an open end 16mm wrench on the inside of the ball joint to protect it from overspinning and damaging it, and then a 16 closed on the outside. I suppose if I was thinking ahead, I would have ordered a set of new nuts. But here I am. So this next step is probably going to be one of the most difficult and or scary for most people. And if you look at our part here, you can see we have these little ridges there that need to slide over the top of the sway bar. And there are these little bumps that get in the way, and we're going to have to just gently grind or sand those off. In order to do so, we want to be able to lower the sway bar down to gain a little bit more access to it. So we'll pop our other sway bar link off, freeing up the sway bar all the way, and we'll get those sanded off. To get this part of the project done, you're going to need a file, or you could use a die grinder, or as in my case, a grinder with flap disc. So you can see there, we just took a little bit off the top and the bottom, right on that edge. And that gives our bracket the ability to slide all the way forward to the point where our bolts are going to line up. Now we need to drop a little bit of primer on here, make sure it's protected, and let that dry. Okay, let's take a quick side note while our primer is drying. Let's talk about who is this modification for, because it's not for everybody. If you don't have a ton of mods done to your car, there's probably not a reason for you to upgrade your front sway bar yet. If you have a couple and you have extra oversteer that you're dealing with, adding your front sway bar control brackets and adding a little bit more understeer will help to bring that oversteer down and control it into a more neutral position. I have upgraded my rear sway bar. I am running the old Eibach rear sway bar, which is a thicker sway bar than stock. It's not adjustable, which would be awesome to have, you know, a Dynon bar, but this one has definitely added to the oversteer on this car. It's completely controllable, but as I continue to experiment with this car, play with different suspension adjustments, I want to see if I can improve it more, or maybe I make it worse and I'll have to back it down to a softer setting. I'm going to be starting with the medium setting, at least for this first go around. In 2 weeks, I've got a 2-day event, autocross and then road course back to back, and I'll get to see if I notice any difference. So remember, as you're installing these, you want the emblem facing out, which will also put this beveled edge up against the control arm, giving it the most amount of space here. These bolts have lock washers on them, and Jed calls for between 20 and 25 foot-pounds of torque. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to 25. So one of my concerns as I was looking at these online before I bought them was that the control arm might contact the sway bar bracket here during hard maneuvers. And you can see here that I can pull the sway bar up and down all the way through its range of motion before it even contacts the control arm itself. So I don't have any concerns that these two are going to contact one another. All of my bushings are polyurethane here on the front, so there's not a whole lot of movement. Eventually I'll go monoball, but that time is yet to come. Okay, remember we talked about having 3 different positions, a soft, medium, and hard. The lower position with both sway bar end links in them would be soft. The lower position plus 1 upper position on the other side would be medium, and both sway bar end links in the upper hole would be hard. I was gonna go with medium, but you know, I wanna take this in baby steps and see just how much of a difference I can feel. So I'm gonna run both of these on the soft setting, which is still stiffer than the factory bar. And then I'll report back with some feedback. I was finding some conflicting information on the torque value for this nut online, anywhere between 50 and 65 Newton meters. I'm gonna take it to 50 Newton meters, which is about 36, 37 foot-pounds. Am I the only one that hits the torque number 2 or 3 times? Is that something that you do? Throw it down in the comments how you do it. Well, that was a lot easier to install than I thought it was gonna be. If this video helped, like, subscribe, comment, let me know down below what you think. And if you've run these on your car, if you have any feedback before I get a chance to use them. Take a look at one of my other car videos up here, or maybe something DIY related. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.